Hey kids, welcome back. We are now moving on to the Catechism question, number 26. And the question is this: what else does Christ's death redeem? We've talked in the past about Christ's death and resurrection bringing us redemption. But did you know that's not the only thing that is saved? It's not just us who believe in Him who are redeemed by His death, but there's more that the Bible teaches. So what else does Christ's death redeem? The answer is very simple: every part of fallen creation. Let's practice that. What else does Christ's death redeem? Every part of fallen creation. One more time. What else does Christ's death redeem? Every part of fallen creation. If you want to take a minute to practice that, you can do so now. This question and answer are showing us that God's plan is not just to save His people, but it's also to renew the whole world itself. Because when the world, when Adam and Eve fell into sin, the whole world was affected by that. There was a curse that was placed on the ground, and one of the things that happened after Adam and Eve sinned, and that has happened ever since, is that the earth itself became something that it wasn't supposed to be from the beginning. And what it became is a graveyard. What that means is that we were not made to die. God did not intend for human beings to die in the beginning. We died because of Adam and Eve's sin and them being kicked out of the garden and cut off from the tree of life. And so eventually they died, and then their descendants died, and their descendants died. And ever since then, every person who has ever lived, except for two that we know of in the Bible, Enoch and Elijah, but every other person in history has eventually died. And what usually happens when people die is that they get buried under the earth. And so the earth started to become a graveyard, which is not what God created it to be. I brought a picture with me today, and I want to show you this. This is actually a picture of a grave. And this is my grandparents' grave. You can see, if you can read, it's got the name O'Kelly on it. My grandfather, he died about 25 years ago. And then my grandmother died about 11 years ago. And loved them very much. They were very good, loving grandparents to me. And the best thing about this, even though they're dead now, the best news for me is that they both knew Jesus. And they both loved Jesus and trusted Jesus. And so I believe that both of them, their souls went on to heaven to be with Jesus. And they're safe there and happy there with Jesus. And I do hope to see them again one day when I'm with Jesus. But the sad part is that their bodies died and went into the ground. And that's what graves are today. It's when we put bodies down in the ground. But what the Bible teaches us about the earth itself is that the earth, in a sense, we could say the earth doesn't like to be the place where dead bodies go. The earth was not made for this. The earth was made to be a place that human beings would rule over and make into a glorious, wonderful place where God's presence would dwell with man forever. That was God's original purpose in the Garden of Eden, but it hasn't worked out that way because of sin. And the result is that you can now think of the earth itself like a mother in childbirth. I know some of you probably have younger brothers or sisters, or maybe your mom has a baby in her tummy right now. And you may know what happens when that baby's getting ready to come out. It begins to hurt a lot, and your mom has all these pains and goes through these labor pains, and eventually, through all the groaning and pain, finally the baby comes out and there's all this joy. Paul, in Romans chapter 8, Paul's going to speak of the earth itself like a mother ready to give birth, like a mother who has all these bodies down inside her, but she's ready for them to come out with life again. Because that's what Jesus died and was raised to make happen. And when that happens, the earth itself is renewed. It's not a graveyard anymore. It becomes the wonderful place that God always designed it to be. So in Romans 8, if you have a Bible, I'm going to read from Romans 8, verses 18 to 25. This is what Paul says. For I consider that the sufferings of this present time are not worth comparing with the glory that is to be revealed to us. For the creation, that's the earth itself, the creation waits with eager longing for the revealing of the sons of God. So the creation wants God's sons, God's own children, to be revealed, to come out of the ground as raised from the dead. Verse 20 says, For the creation was subjected to futility, not willingly, but because of him who subjected it, in hope that the creation itself will be set free from its bondage to corruption and obtain the freedom of the glory of the children of God. Listen to this part, verse 22. For we know that the whole creation has been groaning together in the pains of childbirth until now. And not only the creation, but we ourselves, who have the first fruits of the Spirit, groan inwardly as we wait eagerly for adoption as sons, the redemption of our bodies. For in this hope we were saved. Now hope that is seen is not hope, for who hopes for what he sees? But if we hope for what we do not see, we wait for it with patience. So Paul is saying we can endure all the sufferings of this life right now because we know what's coming. That for those who are in Christ, there is great glory to come. Our own bodies will be raised from the dead. And when they are, the earth itself will be like a mother who's just given birth and who has so much joy and is renewed. And all creation will be delivered from the curse of sin forever. So Jesus' death and resurrection is not just about saving us. It's about renewing the whole creation to become what God always wanted it to be, God's dwelling place with us forever. We know that God did not create us to die. That was not his purpose for us. And how do we know that? Because when Jesus died, he did not stay dead, did he? He came out of the tomb 3 days later. And that is because that is what God has for all of us who are in Christ. That we would be raised from the dead as well and receive a wonderful new creation on that day. So let's go over our question one more time. What else does Christ's death redeem? Every part of fallen creation. We're going to sing a song today to close. And I'm going to sing 2 verses of the hymn, This Is My Father's World. The first verse is just about creation itself, God's glory revealed in everything he made. Then we're going to do the third verse, which is about how God is going to make the world new again one day. So we'll sing both verses twice so you can hear the words. So the first verse begins, This is my Father's world, and to my listening ears. So let's sing that together if you know it. This is my Father's world, and to my listening ears, all nature sings and round me rings the music of the spheres. This is my Father's world, I rest me in the thought of rocks and trees, of skies and seas, his hand the wonders wrought. So you can hear in that song, that verse, God's glory revealed in all he made. Let's sing that one more time. This is my Father's world, and to my listening ears, all nature sings and round me rings the music of the spheres. This is my Father's world, I rest me in the thought of rocks and trees, of skies and seas, his hand the wonders wrought. Listen to this verse now about God making the world new one day. This is my Father's world. Oh, let me ne'er forget that though the wrong seems oft so strong, God is the ruler yet. This is my Father's world. The battle is not done. Jesus who died will be satisfied, and earth and heaven be one. Let's sing that one more time. This is my Father's world. Oh, let me ne'er forget that though the wrong seems oft so strong, God is the ruler yet. This is my Father's world. The battle is not done. Jesus who died will be satisfied, and earth and heaven be one. All right. Thanks for watching. See you next time.